What Jesus is saying, if you look in the Greek, is the child is not dead. Think of it as Charles Dickens, dead as a doornail dead. That's the word there. The other word that he uses is sleeping. In the Greek, and it's one of the first times it's used, it means death with the hope of resurrection. So that is what Jesus is saying when he says sleeping. The child wasn't in a coma. The child wasn't just near death. The child was dead. How do we know that? Because of the mourners. These professional paid mourners would not be mourning a second longer than what they would need to be paid for. So they know what death is. They know when death occurs, and they are mourning this child because the child is dead. Now, Jesus clears the room. He takes Peter, James, and John into the chambers with him where the child is, along with the mother and the father. He takes the hand of the child, and by taking the hand of that dead child, he is defiling himself pursuant to Jewish law. But Jesus can't be defiled. He is pure holiness, pure righteousness, so he cannot be defiled. And he says in his native Aramaic tongue, Talitha Kumi, which means, as Mark translated, little girl, I say to you, arise. And with that, as Mark puts it, immediately the girl arose. With that very act, Jesus had defeated death. He's going to defeat death on the cross, but he had defeated death. He had resurrected someone from the dead, and he's serving notice to the powers that be, even though the earthly individuals didn't understand it yet fully. He's serving notice that the kingdom of God is at hand. The part of the timing, what can we take from this also as to God's timing? God's time is so, I find myself personally, so little attached to my time, my personal time. A person has plans, they have things to do. We lead such busy lives that we sometimes don't let God interfere with our timing. With God's timing, as Peter learned, we have even a greater miracle that occurred. We would have had a healing, which would have been a fantastic miracle, but the greater miracle is he raised this person from the dead. The other part of God's timing in this is, what if Jesus would have been hurried along? What if he would have allowed himself to have been hurried along? We never would have heard the story about the woman with the flow of blood. And what a tragedy that would have been to have lost that story. She would have been healed, there's no doubt about it, but we would never have known about that story. John in his gospel says, literally there's only a fraction of the stories in the Bible as to what God has done, to what Jesus has done with his miracles and with his healings. Those are only a fraction that are found in the Bible. As he put it, I believe if you told story after story, then the world literally couldn't contain the books that would be written about it. And I believe that 100%. Corrie ten Boom said, beware of the barrenness of a busy life. Have we missed God's blessing? Have we missed a blessing from him because we've been so busy? Have we missed a blessing because we haven't read the Bible to learn more about God, to learn how much he loves us and how much he cares for us? Have we failed to pray and communicate with him? Remember, it wasn't enough just to be in the crowd, to be a spectator. He brought the lady out of the crowd. He wanted a personal relationship with her. Have we failed to give a blessing to another? Have we been so busy that we haven't really listened to a person who's crying out for help? Have we been so busy that we haven't tried to pass on a good word of encouragement, a quick phone call, or to really stop and listen to what the person was saying? Have we been so busy that we've missed being able to be a blessing to another person? And the last thing to take from this is trust in God. Trust in God. The magnificent faith of Jairus, the magnificent faith of the lady with the flow of the blood, and what an inspiration that is. And the more faith, the greater faith came about by having a personal relationship and interacting with Christ. With that, trust in God.